I've been working on a mentalist act. Hey, do you know him?
Alexander Arthur?
No.
I paid Elson to write me a show.
Alright.
Not great. I gave my grand.
You're joking.
Gave my grand.
To write you a show.
Mm.
There's one in the boot, there's 2 1-hour shows in the boot camp members area.
But I wanted a unique show, something that nobody else was doing. And honestly God, he picked up, I think he went on his mentalist shelf, picked up 5 books and all that. That one I'll do. That
one's not used anymore.
You know what I mean?
You have to
Honestly, it wasn't the best investment I've to make, put it that way. But having said that, I did, it took forever, didn't he? I spoke to Luke Jeremy about it and that was entertaining.
Alright.
They wanted something like 3.5, 5 grand to start it, to kind of go and do a bit of work on it. And then obviously, anything that took more, they would probably have to pay them after that.
Probably worth it.
Bloody good, but you're a bit of an opportunist though, isn't it?
I don't know if you're going to put somebody together a unique show that no one else is doing.
That wasn't a new show I got off of Elves, and they literally picked out half a dozen books.
A 1-hour show, put it together for them. Probably want at least 5 grand if I was doing that from scratch for somebody. But let's face it, you only need 5 average corporate gigs and you've got your money back.
Yeah, but it's getting the 5 corporate gigs at the moment in the climate, you know what I mean? It's kind of, I don't know, I think Colin's still doing quite well. Kennedy's doing
Well,
alright.
that's where marketing comes in. It all brings us back to where we finished up, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you don't market it right, you don't get customers.
Yeah.
Or you don't sell your product or whatever.
You press record.
I believe so, yeah. I believe so. So, so that's what you were saying about corporates before, which we will come to when we get back to marketing. We're starting to go off on them. Again, before lunch, we do a lot of going off on them, especially when I'm not kind of following this in full order. What I do need to, anyone who's seen this before, sorry, but this bit needs to be drummed home before we get there. You now know what 7 points are. Get rapport, reduce the trance, deep the trance, ego strengthening therapy, necessary therapy, implant major post-hypnotic suggestion, break them up. Hopefully that made sense when I broke them down before. It's exactly the same for stage, except where therapy would be, you make them do silly things. And the major post-hypnotic stage isn't that you're going to listen to a CD every day, it's that for the rest of this evening, whether you're in this room, or for the rest of this afternoon, or wherever, a bit of common sense to be applied. For the rest of this evening, whether you're in this room, each and every time you hear me click my fingers like that, and each and every time I say the word sleep, as quickly as that, snap the fingers, as quickly as that, you'll instantly let your eyes close, your head fall forward onto your chest, and you'll instantly re-enter this state, except each and every time you do, it'll be 100 times deeper, more relaxing, and enjoyable for you. Nod your head if you understand. Another key phrase, nod your head if you understand. Don't get caught up in the idea that people are hypnotised and they're out of it. Just assume they've got their eyes closed because you've told them to. And you tell them to keep their eyes closed for reasons we'll come to in a minute. Because then if they open their eyes, unless you've told them to, then they've suddenly become uncooperative. So as long as they remain cooperative, they're going to keep their eyes closed, and if they keep their eyes closed in a stage context, to an audience it looks like they're hypnotised. Don't particularly matter whether it's a perception thing. Therapeutically, well, it's just better if they keep their eyes closed, because that's probably what we're seeing on films, seen on TV, so that's what they expect it to be. It's about fulfilling expectations. But, briefly, and I'm going to race through this, because all of this flip chart, that's why I'm not going to use it all today. The last event I did, that Jack was at, I believe, in January, this flip chart, clear images that you can actually read and see, are in the boot camp members area. So I'm not going to, this was the main focus last time, it isn't going to be the main focus this weekend, hence you can always just look at it in the boot camp members area. I do feel, though, it's worth mentioning a couple of the points of the points, oh dear, we get the number 7 again. Things are always in 3s or 7s. 3s or 7s, they always are. It's always odd numbers. And it's interesting, odd numbers, lists of odd numbers tend to be used more often in sales training and this, that, than even things.
You convert 1 in 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the old saying, isn't it? So it's, the only reason I'm mentioning it is because when you realise it's happening all around you in so many different arenas, whether it's sales, marketing, religion, then you can start to accept the fact, you know what, it is actually this simple. If you just follow a few simple processes, as long as it's presented and marketed in the right way, then you will get the result. But, yeah, I'm not going to read all these bits, you can do all that at home. Take pictures by all means, John, but there are professional high-res images of all the pages of this in the boot camp. But it's a bit of insight psychology into human beings. Again, there is always exceptions to the rule, whether it's a genetic or medical issue, but generally speaking, human beings, whether they will consciously admit it or not, want to feel, perhaps more importantly, to function normally and not have problems, need to feel as though they are loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. And at first hearing, or first sight of the words, they seem to be very similar things. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this here. What I would suggest is that you take my word for it, or better still, get a dictionary out when you get home, and look at the meanings of those 7 words. Simple bit of homework. The 7 words are loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. They are all actually very different when you look at the dictionary definition of them. Because it is possible for somebody to feel wanted, but not loved. It's possible for someone to feel needed, but not appreciated for what they've done. So it is possible for some of these to exist without the others there. Hence, situations can arise in life where somebody is clearly needed by somebody, or that person wants them around to do something for them, but then doesn't say thank you, doesn't show them any appreciation, and therefore the person doesn't end up feeling valued for what they've done. So in an ideal world, for somebody to feel that what they do for other people in life, and what they do for themselves, and what's going on, and basically all elements of life, for them to feel, I'm going to use a very dangerous word here, there is no such thing as normal. And it's just a perception that anyway. Everything in life is just a belief system and a perception. But let's use this construct of normal. And I'm going to describe normal as being someone who didn't have bad habits, doesn't overly suffer with stress or anxiety. I say doesn't overly because everyone at some point in life isn't that someone. Someone who's able to deal with things as they come along, who feels good about themselves. Class that as, say, normal, as you're born. And when you're born, unless there's a genetic or medical disorder, all things being considered, we're all born essentially the same. Yes, there's environmental things that end up causing changes, because as you grow up you realise you're in a poverty-stricken third world, or you've been born with a silver spoon in your mouth, and that will make dramatic differences. Hence, in psychology they say we're all products of our environment, but ultimately, deep down, at the moment of birth, we're all the same. And there are not, some people say you're not born with any phobias, there's only 2 fears that you have when you're born, the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. And I believe that it's even simpler than that. We're born with 0 fears at all. It's just that at some point, for our perception new to the world, we're going to hear something that to us, as the baby, is perceived as being loud, and it's going to hurt if we're not used to the sound. Hence, it's going to become an immediate conditioned response of loud noises, scary, cry, can you hurt? I believe all fears are conditioned after the moment of birth. But more importantly, human beings, generally speaking, need to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. If there's any imbalance or lacking in any one of those 7 areas, it will have a knock-on effect somewhere in their life. Hence I call them the 7 true emotional pillars. They do relate to Abraham Maslow's 1943 hierarchy of human needs. I'm not going to go into them in depth. You can look on the flip chart images. I frankly, as egotistical as it sounds, think the more accurate version of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs are these. That you need to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. If there's any lacking in any of them, so if they don't feel fully loved or appreciated or valued, any of them, then it will have a knock-on effect on their self-confidence, or their self-esteem, or their self-image, or their self-control. Self-control meaning willpower. Or a combination thereof. It could have a knock-on effect on 2 of them. Or it might have a tiny knock-on effect on all 4. Or a massive effect on 1 of them and a tiny bit on 3. Everyone's different. Every situation is different. But one thing that is assured is that somewhere there's a lacking in one of those 7. It will have an effect on 1 or more of those 4. Which I call the 4 foundations of self-worth. How the person feels about themselves. Self-confidence is kind of the way they project themselves. Self-esteem is the way they feel about themselves. Self-image is the way they feel they are perceived by others, whereas self-esteem is the way they perceive themselves. And self-control, as we said, willpower. The combination of them is self-worth, or self-respect, you could call it as well. If there's been a lacking in any of them, it'll have a knock-on effect there. If there's a knock-on effect in any of them, it will lead to them feeling 1 or more of the following negatives, pillars of life. Negativity, trapped, worthless, like a failure, angry, resentful or frightened. All issues in life, whatever they are, if it's something negative, will end up relating to 1 or a combination of those 7 things when we sit down and examine it. It just does. Take my word for it, look at the list, sit down, look back on your own life and go, this happened, it was negative, how does it relate to 1 or more of them? And I guarantee it will relate to at least 1 or more of them. Generally a combination. Fortunately, the wonderful thing is, this sounds like it's going to get complicated. It means we're going to find which of these ones are specifically the issue for the client. The good news is, no we don't, it's a whole bunch easier than that. You just need to know that underneath, this is the reality of it. So, if there's a lacking there, it'll have a knock-on effect on 1 or more of those 4, which means it cause 1 or more of those 7 things to become prevalent and cause them issues. In extreme cases, that can lead to self-destruct mode. That word self, again, is very important, or self-hate mode, or self-guilt, or self-blame, or self-shame, or self-regret. And often, though, if that gets really bad, that can lead to crime, self-harming, drugs, alcoholism, domestic violence, prostitution, homelessness, suicide, absolute worst case scenario. It will always be 1 or more of them. The majority of people, it's self-harming. Now, self-harming doesn't just mean cutting yourself. Self-harming can be drinking too much, smoking, not doing enough exercise. It will always, self-harming to some degree will always come into something that somebody's doing that they don't want to be doing, or coming into the reasons why they're not doing something that they want to do. So, that said, that means it doesn't matter what their fear, phobia, habit, addiction, compulsion, emotional issues, health issues, whatever, it will have a cause somewhere amongst those things. And when you accept that, whereas conventional psychology or psychotherapy will say, you now got to find the root cause of the problem with them, find pinpoint which one of those things it is, and then work on those particular points so they're balanced up, at which point then the client will be able to sort it. No, my experience is it's a damn sight easier than that, as we'll come to in a minute. Now, I've got health issues last week, and health issues means all manner of things. It can mean cancer, it can mean whatever title or label you pull out of the air that describes what we call an illness or health issue. Controversially, at first sounding, but it's true, doctors, most of them will admit, that health issues are very largely stress-related. They may not all be caused by stress in the first place, although there's arguments that when you're stressed, your immune system is weakened, so therefore you're more likely to catch something or become prone to something. But if you end up with a negative mindset, it's more likely to kill you or make you ill for longer. Prime example is, if you look at women's magazines, it's pretty regular that if you're in Asda or Tesco or wherever you shop, you just have a quick look at magazines. Every few weeks you'll see something like, can't believe it, I was given 3 months to live and it's, like 5 years on. And the person still, as far as medical doctors are concerned, should be dead, but they're still alive. Because they didn't give up the moment they found out. They went out mountain climbing, they tried to do everything in life that we've been putting off because they've only got 3 months left and 5 years later they're still there. And then there's other people, the moment they're given this label, I'm using cancer as an example, the moment they're told they've got cancer, they hear the label and that's the death sentence. That's the negative suggestion. That's the you're going to die. And they just give up. And these people could have been told, well, you'll be fine if you have this treatment, but they still end up dying. And it befuddles medical science in the other direction. And there's examples of this galore in everyday life, which shows how important the mind is. So when people talk about psychosomatic illness, it's just a fancy word, being caused by the mind. That's literally what the word means. Now, I'm not saying to you want to be dealing with people who've got psychosomatic illnesses, because you're borderline getting into the areas there of psychotherapy and whatnot. But what I'm saying is, whether you like it or lump it, if you're going to do anything therapeutically, you will be dealing a lot of the time with people who've got some psychosomatic caused by the mind problem. Even if it's just a habit or it could down to how the filters are dealing with things in life. Why they're using that as their crutch. They say smoking is a smoke screen, that drinking is drowning an issue, drugs is escapism. And as generalised as that is, there's quite often a lot of truth in that. Hence, here, when people feel a hole or look inside or a lack of something, a lack of one of those things we talked about, inside themselves, they'll automatically search for something to fill that gap, which can end up being filled with smoking, drugs, getting addicted to sex. At the other end of the scale, it can get filled by people going jogging twice a day, or going to the gym for hours at a time, or turning to religion. There's lots of different ways of filling that gap, but what is it they get from that, generally speaking? If you were to break it down and question and look at it, it will be that they get some sense of feeling loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished or valued, which therefore would help positively increase their levels of self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem or self-control, thus giving them an increased feeling of self-respect or self-worth. In other words, in some measure or manner, however twisted, it makes them feel better about themselves. Unfortunately, sometimes with things like drinking too much or smoking or drugs, yes, they do feel better because they've removed themselves from the negative thought patterns and whatnot, but all of those are still there. Hence, quite often people relapse when they try and get off drugs and stuff because they haven't dealt with what was imbalanced, what was unbalanced, what caused it in the first place. So as much as they want to stop and they do stop, it's only a matter of time before they'll either relapse back into doing what they were doing or do what is known as symptom substitution, which is they'll stop smoking and then they may end up months down the line because they're not coping with life and they're feeling stressed, because they're not feeling love, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, end up drinking more instead. That would be the negative symptom substitution. Our job as a therapist is to give them a positive symptom substitution. So they stop smoking, but we're mindful of the fact that they will now have a hole inside themselves where they used to smoke, that needs to be filled with something positive. So we find out from the client what will be appropriate for them in their life. It's no good just saying to them, you can start going to the gym instead. If that person particularly hates the gym, yes, they might take your commands, take it literally and start going to the gym. But it's going to make their life fucking miserable if they didn't want to be doing that. Our idea is to actually give them a life where they feel good. And the key word there is feel. What they feel inside will affect the way they think about themselves and vice versa. But what they feel has no basis in reality to anybody except them. That's so important to understand. My reality bears no relation on yours. It's the same thing. Everyone perceives everything differently. Police will tell you, if all of us were to witness a car accident now, and they took us apart, so we couldn't talk to each other, interviewed us all, we'd all have seen the exact same thing at the exact same time, pretty much roughly from the same physical position. So logic would say we should all say pretty much the same thing. But if the statements were confirmed afterwards, there would be so many differences because we all perceive things differently. There's millions of bits of information around us. As I'm talking, there's maybe part of your brain somewhere can hear the clock ticking. Cars going past. There's so much going on, it's impossible to take it all in consciously. So, our brain naturally processes it and decides, based on previous experience, what is most important to us, for us at that time. And then that clicks in three things that we have to deal with, which is deletions, distortions, and generalisations. Deletions means that there's way too much information to take in consciously, but some of it we just delete out and totally ignore. Distortions, some of it comes in, and our brain, interprets it slightly wrongly because there's so much going on. And generalisations, some stuff comes in, but because it seems similar to stuff we've encountered before, if you like, it gets filed into the filing cabinet that seems closest to that, because we've generalised it because it's a bit like that, it must be the same. And that's how we cope in life, because we couldn't deal with everything at once. Unfortunately, our clients with issues will have had deletions, or distortions, or generalisations, or a combination thereof. So, some vital piece of information has been deleted maybe, that had it not been deleted, they may never have developed that habit, addiction, fear or phobia. Had they been aware of that, but sadly they weren't. Or, something got distorted, so, they may have been young, walked into a room, and their mother may have dropped a big pile of books on the floor and it landed on her foot and she screamed and started crying because it was extremely painful. And at that exact moment, though, the little child might have seen a spider run across the floor. And has distorted this as, linked both of them together and distorted it to spider, mama crying, I love mama, spiders equals avoid, make you upset. And that can then elaborate into a phobia. Or it could be generalisations, which is that, I'm using a severe example, the only severe examples is not, I'm just wide up one probably, but it makes it easy to remember these things. Because, Uncle Bertie with the black beard raped them when they were like 6 at the birthday party. Every time they see somebody with a beard, their filing cabinet head goes, people with beards do bad things. And they start to have anxiety attacks. They may not consciously be aware it's because of that, but somewhere in the filing cabinet, that link's gone. Beards, bad experience, avoid, and they start having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. That could be the trigger. So deletions, distortions, generalisations are the causes of things. When you know that, we can use that to our advantage to use deletions, distortions and generalisations to switch things around. But that's ultimately all we're doing, making somebody do something they don't want, well, that they didn't, there were reasons why they've stopped themselves from doing it, say like public speaking. We're making it become pleasurable so they will do it, and painful to carry on not doing it, or we're taking something they currently derive some kind of pleasure or safety from, or relief, or perceived reward, or sense of self-worth through the feeling of wanting, needing, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, and helping them get those feelings from somewhere else, so that once they're fulfilled somewhere else, that gap is filled positively, so they don't need the drugs, or the smoking, or the whatever it may be. And that's literally what we're doing. So, hence, the simple solution to any issue you're presented with is to turn negatives to positives. It sounds ridiculously simple, it sounds ridiculously obvious, and that's because it is. There's people out there who want you to think there's more to it, that it's more complicated, that you need to get to the root cause of the exact targeted ways. No, I call that raping somebody's mind unnecessarily. If someone's had an emotional trauma, or in life, for example, I don't see there's any benefit. Yes, there is that old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. But, and in some environments and contexts that may be true, but generally speaking, the only truth of that saying, I feel, is that by somebody seeking to tell people, repeat their story of what traumatised them, and going, oh, it helps me when I talk about it. Yes, it probably does, but it's not the talking about it that helps them. In fact, that's fucking making the program in their mind worse, so they're never going to get over it in life. Where they derive the benefit is the fact that somebody listens to them, which makes them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished or valued, and has a knock-on effect with the self, makes them feel a bit better in that moment. But because that program's still there playing, it's short-lived. That's why they have to keep telling more and more and more people, and I'm sure you've all encountered that annoying fucker in life who every opportunity they get to tell somebody about this traumatic thing that happened in their life, rather than dealing with it, that's because they're deriving a sense of feeling loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished or valued. They're getting a secondary gain from keeping that problem. Our job is, because they're getting a pleasure from that, we'll call it a pleasure. Our job is to give them that pleasure in a way where they can say goodbye to having to keep on playing those negative files in the head. And they can move forward and leave it behind ultimately. And the only way of doing that is for them to increase the self-confidence, the self-image, the self-esteem, the self-control, which arguably is self-worth, self-respect, feeling good about themselves, and as we said before, how they feel has no basis in reality. You know, the fact is they might be the most butt-ugly, personality-less fuckwit on the planet, who's never got a chance of getting the leg over, never going to have kids, the family could have fallen out with them, but it is still possible to create an environment where they feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. It's an illusion of their mind. It's down to what programs. If you think of it like putting cassette tapes in your head, it's about changing the one where they're giving themselves negative all the time and putting the good in, which brings us back to Emil Kuhn, and every day and every way I'm feeling better and better. And the only way to do that is to make them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished or valued. And when you bear those in mind, and I think that pretty much cut off, just to find a bit of that. As a result of that, as winky-wanky as it sounds, when you help them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, when it builds up their self-confidence, esteem, image, control, which is self-respect, self-worth, they can then naturally It's about loving themselves, as a bit winky-wanky new age as that may sound. It's about them gaining self-respect, feeling a sense of self-worth or pride, feeling good, feeling a sense of freedom to be who they want in life. And for fear of getting borderline new age, if you go on YouTube and type in The Greatest Love of All, the song, and get it up, listen to the words. I'm not going to sing it to you, you'll be glad to hear it, but I can't sing. But well, I believe the children are our future. Treat them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. You have to listen to it. Point is, that is a song that pretty much, in a somewhat chorded fashion, but it'll scream out to you when you listen to it, based on what I said, is the roadmap to what you need to do to make somebody feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. So it has on the knock-on effect that we talked about positively of making them feel good. That song essentially it's a guide to how to do therapy. So, for the sake of 3.5 minutes it takes to listen to on YouTube, do so. Which is probably where the fuckwits, there's people out there do a thing called inner child therapy, and they spend all this time having people ultimately regress and go through a ritualistic process of getting to the point in life where the trauma was caused. And again, I consider it to be like mind rape and unnecessary. But the one element of it that has some worth, the only element as far as I'm concerned, is that after they've done all this emotional trauma reliving and all this crap, is that they get the client to imagine comforting them. So they're in therapy and they might end up with a cushion next to them or sat on the lap, and that's supposed to be, they're imagining that that's them when they were younger and holding it. And they get them to imagine reassuring the younger them that it's okay, and getting them to at that moment feel that they weren't alone, and then it'll be alright when they're older, and that they will, it's okay to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. You could argue, they would argue that's recording that memory, so that then when their eyes open, because it's recorded the memory in the memory bank, that now they can move forward with their life. And maybe it does. But I argue you can get the exact same result by just cutting to the chase, which is to have a ritualistic, important seeming process, i.e. the therapy session, whereby it's all about making that person feel better about themselves. And whereby what they do for the 28 days afterwards is all about making that person feel better about themselves. And whereby what happens even when they stop listening to the CD, because of the process that arguably brainwashed into by then, every day when they wake up, just the mere action of waking up, going to the toilet, washing their face, normal everyday actions, act as a kind of anchor and a signal that, yeah, I'm alive. Yes, today is a world of possibilities. So that's what we're brainwashing them for success. Or I suppose you might argue we're doing the opposite of brainwashing. We're cleaning away the crap, the negative brainwashing that they've had. Whichever way you want to look at it, the result's the same. It's all a construct at the end of the day. Nobody can prove if what I'm saying is right. It gets results, but no one can prove that's why. Just as if we can't prove any. That's why psychology is an entire industry, is all theories. But for me, this is what works. So, the only other two words of relevance, failure or success. If someone's currently got a habit, addiction, fear, phobia, emotional issue or whatever that they don't want, arguably they're stuck in a position of failure at that point. Or pain, interchangeable words. Once they're doing what they want to be doing, or have got rid of what they don't want to be doing, so they feel good about themselves, then arguably that's the position of success and pleasure and feeling good. It's literally as polar opposite as that. Which is made clearer by this acronym, failure. So at one end of the scale, failure or pain, but we use failure because it nicely splits up into this acronym, is feelings of, remember feelings don't have to have any basis in reality, just what that person feels inside. Frustration, aggressiveness, insecurity, loneliness, uncertainty, resentment, or emptiness. Again, if you look at the dictionary definition of the meaning of the words, there's more meaning to them than just the thing. But you know, people who are insecure or shy will tend to veer away from doing public speaking. So. But that causes a vicious circle of the more they avoid public speaking, the more they're reinforcing the fact that they're insecure. They set up a negative cycle. The more that somebody doesn't get the results they want, say that they're not winning the tennis matches that they play, the more frustrated they're going to get. But unfortunately, the more frustrated somebody is, the more their mind will be distracted, so less focused on playing the game right, so therefore they're going to lose even more. It becomes a negative cycle. And your clients, when they come to you, will be in some kind of negative cycle. As I say, failure can also, substitute words for failure, negative, trapped, unhappy, stressed, discontented, pain. And pain can be literal, it can be emotional, but it can also be physical pain. Because there's evidence out there that pain is, to a large degree, illusionary in the mind. And that it only becomes really painful. The more focus you put on it, the more painful it becomes. An example of that is if you're in the kitchen, I've done this numerous times over the years, you're cutting veg or something, door goes or something will turn, and somebody walks in, you say something, and then they suddenly go, oh, you've cut yourself. And you're not consciously aware of this, because you are, and you look, and the moment you see you've cut yourself, suddenly it starts throbbing and stinging. But it wasn't until that point, because you weren't consciously aware you'd done it. So you hadn't sent yourself a signal to your memory bank of blood, cut equals, what's that equal? What's that equal? Oh, it goes with that memory file of that equals pain. It's going to feel bad, which pulls out that related, like the scenario I went with before, the memory bank thing, so you start feeling it. You give yourself the instruction to start feeling it, so you do. Well, surely, if what you've got filed can give you the instruction to feel something, and you start feeling it when you weren't doing, up to the point of prior to getting the instruction, pure logic should tell you that it, to a degree at the very least, the other way, if you can send yourself signals that it doesn't have to feel that bad, that you can either shut off or at the very least minimise that level of pain or discomfort just by the way you think. The direct opposite is success. Purely again because it gives us a wonderful acronym. Success, which is sense of direction, which is sense of self-worth in life, something to do, a sense of self-purpose, understanding, courage, calmness, esteem, self-confidence, self-acceptance, self-love, loving yourself. It comes back to what we said before. It seems repetitive, but I don't apologise for that because repetition is the key to hypnosis. Substitute words for success: positive, freedom, happiness, relax, content, pleasure. So, leave that for now. So it is all, if this is all true, it's all down to just two key things. Pain and pleasure. And if this is all true, and in my world it is, then, and my drawing's crap, I apologise in advance, but we'll imagine that's a plug. Well, the bag's been taken off it, but we'll try and make it look a bit more as I know. You'll just be able to see maybe one of the pins and part of the bottom papers. But if you're going to wire it up, there's generally 3 bits in the back, isn't there? Actually, I've done that entirely wrong. There would be one, there'd be one there, there'd be one there. Okay. And the way I got taught when I was young was that your blue wire went on the bottom left, or sometimes it's black, but both blue and black start with the letter BR, reminding you bottom left. And the brown wire would go on the bottom right, because the BR reminds you at the beginning of the word brown, BR, bottom right, and whatever was left over, if there was, because certainly my dad's wiring didn't have the top bit, but whatever's left would go on the top bit. When the client comes to us, this is the metaphor, but they're basically just wired up the wrong way around. It's as simple as that. Our job is to unwire the brown, which we're going to say that forget electric for a minute, because this is going to go tits up as an analogy. But brown is sadly the same colour as shit. So brown is negative stuff. It's going to have been wired up wrong. So we are literally, with our words, because that's all we've got to work with, effectively going to go in to their mind, the plug, unscrew the wires and change them round. That is all we're doing. And if that was true, that would mean that as long as you undid the wires, put them back in the right place, screwed them up, so you tried this, it wasn't working, you take it apart, you undo the wires, you put them back in the right place, screw them up right, can't possibly slip out, definitely done up tight, starts working, job's done. Unless somebody comes along and purposely undoes the back of the plug with a screwdriver, undoes the screws again, takes the wires out again and switches them back to where they were and then does it up again. It can't magically switch places of its own accord. And it's the same with the human mind. It isn't just going to magically do that back once we help them, because if that could happen, I mean there's arguments it could, but we don't focus on the next thing. If that could happen, then why haven't they been able to just do that to overcome the issues? Well, I said before, it's down to their environment and the self-blame, shame, guilt and regret. Ultimately, in truth, I believe it is just that. Let's look at conventional psychology view on it, which would be that no, there is something anchoring them in that negative behaviour state. It means something, if it was a plug, has got to be done to alter it. What's it all happening inside their head? It is all just let me give you the best, I'm trying to give you, let me think of an example for it. Yeah, good one. I suspect everyone in the room will have, whether you remember it or not, from the point of view of being a child, I don't know, you might remember it more as a parent, but whether it was you or it was one of your kids, or one of your family's kids, try to encounter a situation where a kid's hurt themselves, whether it's cut themselves, whacked themselves, whatever, they're crying, they're demonstrating what our perception will tell us they're in pain, and they're like, it's hurting, it's hurting. and then mummy or daddy or uncle or granddad, whichever trusted, perceived, trustworthy, older authority figure, think expert, like we spoke about before, comes on that they trust and either gives it the magic rub or gives them the magic kiss on the knee, or I've heard stories and I've seen it done of them going in the pocket and bringing out what to us we know was just a tic-tac, and giving them the magic tablet that will sort it out. And they've taken this, or they've got the magic kiss, and instantly, well, it's not instantly, is it? Because it was that ritual went before, but what appears instantly, suddenly the kid will, the crying either stops or it calms down, and they seem happier, and it's changed. You've all got some kind of experience of that. So what's happening now? When we look at it, ultimately, if a complete stranger came up and tried to kiss him on the knee, aside from that being wrong on so many levels, I pretty much guarantee it wouldn't work. It works because of the trust factor. It works because of the rapport factor that we spoke about earlier. It works because you do something that's, and this is the message, something that's out of the ordinary to the child's perception of normality. Now obviously, if you want to do something out of the ordinary when you deal with adults, it's got to be something a bit different. Just kissing them on the knee ain't more likely to work too well. Well, plus it could cause you all manner of issues in the therapy room. But it's the intent behind this that's more important. So to the child's perception of things, this is not normal. This is something special. So therefore it's something, well certainly to a child, probably magical almost. I mean, who with the kids has done, if you've got kids or know people with kids, who's had to use the magic monster spray? No, you're looking at me very well.
It's a Manchester thing.
Well, my daughter, Ashley, she did wake up, I'm going back a few years, but she woke up and it was like she come downstairs and she'd obviously best had a night. She woke up and said, there's monsters in my bedroom. And I resisted the temptation of going down any Peter Kay route, you know. It's not the monsters you want to worry about. All right, hang on, I'll be up. And went and got, from the kitchen, one of these plant sprays. Yeah? Deep water, these spraying plants. Went to her bedroom and said, it's all right, I've got the magic monster spray. I've sprayed a bit around. So just give it a few moments, that should make them all go back to the magic land. Before I let ring room, I said, they've gone now, so I'm acting as law. This is not as flippant as it sounds, this is actually teaching you hypnosis, trust me. So, you know, I've gone round the door, sprayed this, she can hear it, there's a ritual going on. I said, hang on, just a minute, I'm going to wait for it to work. And a couple of minutes later, they're gone. And sure enough, she went in, went back to bed, went to sleep, everything was fine. The magic monster spray got rid of them. It seems ridiculous from an adult point of view, but I honestly believe that hypnotherapy, NLP, life coaching, Tibetan mind control, whatever the hell you want to call it, is magic monster spray for adults. That it is, because, but even more amplified because of the fact that we're removing that self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from them. And that, in that moment, those couple of minutes of, she sees this, spray, no, hang on, I made it seem believable, if I was acting the part, I wasn't laughing at it. I'm like, so we've encountered this before, don't worry. What the means. Doesn't matter how daft it is what the client says has been their issue. As much as sometimes you might want to laugh your head off at them hysterically, trust me, that's not a good idea because it helps. But however daft it is, You react as though you've encountered it numerous times before. Oh, right, yeah, I know. Yeah, that. It's not that you're not going, oh, that's not an issue and dismissing it. But it's that you're totally confident. You come across it where you're totally confident you can help them with it. It's not going to be difficult to get rid of it, change it, or overcome it. Now inside you might be going, oh, right. What the fuck? You know, in your internal self-talk, you might be going, they've just told me the issue is that they've got phobia of